For as long as most of us can remember, North Korea's been this total black box, right? But something's changing. We're seeing signals coming out of Pyongyang that point to a really fundamental shift. So today, we're going to unpack what some are calling the Kim Jong-un 2.0 era. And right at the heart of all this is this young girl. This is Kim Ju-ae, Kim Jong-un's daughter. I mean, think about it. She was a total secret until recently, and now, bam, she's front and center at all of North Korea's most important events. Military parades, state functions, you name it. And she's being treated with this level of reverence it's typically reserved for the supreme leader himself. It's pretty wild. So naturally, this brings up the big questions. Who is she really? Is this the heir apparent we're looking at? And maybe even more importantly, what does her sudden, and you can bet it's carefully managed, appearance on the world stage tell us about the future of the Kim dynasty and its iron grip on power? Okay, to get to the bottom of that, we actually have to look past the daughter for a second and first understand her father. Because this Ninth Party Congress back in 2026, look, it wasn't just another boring political meeting. It was a declaration. It was the start of a whole new phase of rule, where Kim Jong-un is basically stepping out from the shadow of his dad and his granddad to forge his own legacy. And, as we're about to see, to handpick his successor completely on his own terms. All right, but before we can really grasp where Kim Jong-un is going, we have to look back at how he got his power in the first place. And there's no story more brutal or more telling than what happened to his own uncle, Jong Song-thaek. Seriously, this wasn't just politics. It was a stone-cold masterclass in how to achieve absolute control. I mean, check this out. In less than a month, Jang Song-thaek went from being the #2 guy in North Korea, we're talking Kim's own mentor, to being labeled a traitor. His top aides were publicly executed, and then, in a move that was clearly designed for maximum shock value, he was physically arrested, right in front of the entire party leadership. Just imagine that scene. So what was his big crime? What did he do? Well, according to the official indictment, he was dreaming different dreams. I mean, that phrase right there tells you everything you need to know. It means he had his own ambitions, maybe his own power base. And in the North Korean system, that is the one unforgivable sin. There can only be one sun in the sky. The official charges themselves are, well, they're pretty revealing. They list everything from corruption and selling off state resources to womanizing, drug use, and gambling. This is straight out of the classic authoritarian playbook, right? You use these accusations of moral and financial rot to justify what's really just a political purge. It's all about eliminating a rival. And they didn't just get rid of him. They made sure to humiliate him publicly. They broadcast the footage of this incredibly powerful man being literally dragged away by guards on state TV. That sent a chilling message to every other official watching. The takeaway was brutal, and it was crystal clear. Just being loyal isn't enough. Only visible, absolute loyalty will keep you alive. Okay, but a purge like that, it's a short-term fix. To secure power for the long haul, Kim knew he had to reshape the entire system he inherited, and he did that by basically re-engineering the ideological pillars that hold up the whole country. Now, this might just look like a small change in wording, but believe me, this represents a massive, seismic shift. See, under his father, Kim Jong-il, the military was king. The mantra was party, army, state. Kim Jong-un completely flipped that on its head. He re-established the Workers' Party as the central, undisputed hub of all power. Now the army serves the party, not the other way around. Huge difference. So the foundation for all of this is something called juche. For something like 70 years, this philosophy of absolute self-reliance has been the justification for the country's isolation. For Kim Jong-un, it's the bedrock. It's the principle that lets him demand total unity from everyone inside the country against what they see as a hostile outside world. Then there's the policy he needed to wrestle with, Songin. This military-first idea was really his father's response to the terrible famine in the 90s, a time when the army was pretty much the only thing holding the country together. So by deliberately chipping away at its influence, Kim wasn't just changing policy, he was yanking power back from the generals. And this brings us to Kim Jong-un's own signature policy, Byung-jin. The idea is actually pretty simple, but it's also really audacious. He basically argues that by building a powerful nuclear deterrent, he creates the security he needs to then focus on the economy. The logic is that you don't have to spend as much on a huge conventional army if you have nukes. So the nuclear arsenal becomes the shield that lets the economy grow behind it. Okay, so let's recap.
We've seen the playbook, right? Brutal purges to make sure everyone is personally loyal, followed by a complete rewiring of the state's ideology and its institutions. So now, let's see how this all comes together in this recent Kim Jong-un 2.0 reshuffle. And more importantly, how it sets the stage for his daughter.
The really crucial thing to get here is how final this all is. The old guard? They're gone. People like Cho Ryong-hae, who were these living links to the original revolutionary generation, they've been completely pushed out. This is a definitive break with the past. The people who ruled alongside his dad and granddad are just not on the stage anymore.
And if you look at the numbers, you can see just how systematic this all was. The turnover in the Central Committee is still over 50%. That's a constant churn designed to stop anyone from building up their own power base. But the real story is what's happening at the very top. The Politburo, the absolute peak of power, now has 0 military figures. And here's the kicker. The party secretariat has been expanded. This right here is the key to the whole plan.
12. Why is that number so important? Because we have seen this exact play before. You have to go back to the 1970s when Kim Jong-il was being groomed to take over. What did his father do? He expanded the secretariat and used it as a power base to build up his son's influence totally separate from the old guard. It seems like history is definitely rhyming.
And the pattern gets even clearer when you look at the women in the Kim family. Kim Jong-un's own aunt, Kim Kyung-hee, played a huge role in supporting his rise to power. And today, his sister, Kim Yo-jung, is getting promoted and is seen as the key person managing this whole process, elevating the profile of her niece, Kim Ju-ae. Come on, this is no coincidence. It's a well-rehearsed family play.
So, let's put it all together. You've got a generational purge, you've got this institutional echo of how successions used to happen, and you've got a powerful family member managing the whole show. So, what does all this internal maneuvering actually mean for the rest of the world? Let's break down why this matters.
Well, for starters, all the officials who used to handle dialogue with South Korea, they're gone. That's a pretty clear signal that their new hostile two-state doctrine is here to stay. Second, a bunch of weapons and munitions experts have been promoted. That points directly to a new 5-year plan to keep advancing their arsenal. And third, and this is really the biggest takeaway, this is a meticulously designed succession plan, and it's happening way earlier than anyone thought it would.
And that's really the most crucial point of all. This whole plan isn't being born out of some crisis or fears about Kim Jong-un's health. It's the exact opposite. This is a long-term, strategic move being made from a position of absolute strength and control. They are engineering the future of their regime while the current leader is still young, apparently healthy, and completely unchallenged.
Which, of course, leaves us with one last kind of unsettling question. As we watch this unprecedented, carefully crafted transition to a 4th generation of Kim family rule, are we just watching a rerun? Is this just the same brutal but effective family playbook all over again? Or, with a young woman potentially at the helm, could the future of the world's most isolated dynasty actually be something entirely new?